Here recently, I made a video talking about how Japan is going after Visa regarding their monopoly practices. In that video, I did highlight the whole situation that was going on with Steam currently, that they updated their policy to essentially allow payment processors to decide what can and cannot be on the platform. And at the time, I made a little side remark that I wasn't making a video on it yet because it's not really affecting visual novels or anime specifically. And yes, as I was editing it, I felt that was a really bad remark, because it almost sounds as if I'm saying because it's not affecting me yet, I'm not going to make a video on it. But I really do think that's short-sighted. I think there is an element of a matter of not if, but a matter of when. And I do think that a lot of what's happening right now with Steam will eventually affect us. And I think, yes, based on what they're currently targeting, it will eventually affect us. I mean, one of the things they stated with this whole situation is specifically things that were about CEST. And yeah, I can point out one particular game on Steam right now that could be attacked by this whole situation. Something that has that in it, that is anime related, Nekopara is kind of fitting the bill. There's a lot of games that will end up having that included in it. It's an entire genre of anime and visual novels is specifically that content. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But again, my comment then was more of an aspect of because it hasn't affected yet, I'm not going to make content on it. So I do feel like right now, I want to make that content. Specifically, I want to get into what's going on and additionally sort of what my thoughts are that we can do going forward. Because ultimately, in the end, I think this is needing action. We need to stop kind of sitting on the sidelines and waiting for it to impact us, or just sitting on the sidelines saying, oh no, this is happening. And I will put my actions where my words are. I have already contacted my representative because I think this needs to start happening. People need to start speaking up, and it's been taking way too long for us to do that. No change.org things. We're talking about contacting representative directly and tell them, put a stop to this. But essentially, for those who don't know what's going on, you had this whole situation with Steam where a lot of games were removed, and they updated their policy saying that, yes, payment processors, it needs to meet their standards. So if a payment processor has sort of standards against something that's on here, we will have to remove it. And there's a side of me that is upset that Steam is bending the knee to this, but there's also a side of me that I want to give them credit. I almost feel like this is almost a big brain move of them saying, okay, we'll take it off the store, and they update the policy to basically say, who exactly is at fault? What Steam's doing right here, I feel like I want to cope here. I feel like Steam right here is saying, sure, we'll take it down because they can't fight the payment processors. If they take it down, they're going to lose a lot of money and they're going to shut down. I know a lot of people think that going with Bitcoin or something like that's going to fix it. I don't think so. I think they're going to lose way too much money and they'll end up having to downsize and shut down eventually. I think this was them telling the audience, this is who's at fault. Go. We can't change things by ourselves. Go and take them down. I think that's sort of the same thing that happened here recently with the next person that was under fire, which of course is itch.io. Itch.io I'm not completely familiar with, so hopefully I don't get this wrong, but essentially it's an independent platform where you can upload your games to and you can make money off them. So indie developers can make games to put up here. And yes, there's a lot of not safe for work stuff on there. Specifically, what they said on their website is, we have de-indexed all adult not safe for work content from our browse and search pages. We understand this action is sudden and disruptive, and we are truly sorry for the frustration and confusion caused by this change. Recently, we became under scrutiny from our payment processors regarding the nature of some of the content hosted on itch.io due to a game titled No Mercy, which was temporarily available on itch.io before being banned back in April. The organization Collective Shout launched a campaign against Steam and itch.io, directing concerns to our payment processors about nature of certain content found on both platforms, which yes, we can see on Collective Shout's website right here. They specifically targeted all these payment processors and said, hey, you're using your stuff to essentially buy stuff that is on these platforms, itch.io and Steam specifically. Now, I don't want people to get caught up on this page. Please do not get caught up on Collective Shout, because I think that's a false direction to go there. What Collective Shout is, it's a group that is campaigning against games and whatnot, and they know how to stop these games. They go directly to the payment processors. But again, they're essentially just a group that's utilizing the tools. What you need to focus on here is that they're going to the payment processors and the payment processor doing their bidding. So even if you go after this group and you take them down, it will not stop what's currently happening. Another group will rise up, they will go to the payment processors, and more games will get shut down. So don't get caught up on Collective Shout. The key focus, I think what a lot of people need to focus on is payment processors. Again, with Steam, what does Steam say? Payment processors. They didn't say Collective Shout. They said payment processors are shutting them down. And essentially right here's the same thing. Collective Shout can't stop these guys from selling the games. Payment processors can. That's why Collective Shout goes to them. Our ability to process payments is critical for every creator on our platform. To ensure that we can continue to operate and provide a marketplace for all developers, we must prioritize our relationship with our payment partners and take immediate steps towards compliance. Now, yes, I know there's a lot of controversy regarding how they handled this, and I'm not going to get in that stuff. Some people say their games got completely removed from their entire history. They can't even download the games they bought. Some people saying, yes, they can download their games. What I want to focus in on is the payment processing issue here, which again has been affecting Japan for the longest time, enough that Taro Yamada and a lot of political leaders had to literally come together to discover how they can possibly fight against this. Because it's obvious at this point to really anybody that payment processors are pretty much unelected officials. They are people that we do not elect that are making choices on our behalf. They are choosing what we can and cannot do. The payment processors for the longest time have been dictating in Japan what is legal and not legal, despite what they claim is legal and not legal, and now they're doing it for us. And again, because of what is being targeted here, it's only a matter of time before it's not just lewd games that nobody wants to play, and it's like, why would you even want to defend this to begin with? It's going to go further than that to other things. I have heard that Collective Shout specifically is going after games that aren't even this stuff. It's just stuff that includes violence and whatnot to children. They're going after storytelling that is a broad spectrum that is not even including just related to not safe for work. They're going after just things that have questionable content or just stuff that's just too shocking for them. And that's where, again, we get into the realm of something that I want to fight back against. Again, it's not whether you like Nekopara or not. It's more of a fact of, is it legal? Is it legal or not legal? Should these payment processors dictate what we can and cannot consume? And where do you draw the line? Is this like every single time that I talk about censorship in Japan from payment processors? It's not a matter of me wanting to consume a lot of this stuff, which, yes, a lot of it includes drawn depictions of young-looking characters in really bad situations. It's more of a factor of where do you draw the line? And we might possibly, and I am saying this specifically, possibly have a current bill that could help us with the situation. Now, I want to emphasize once again, like I always do, that always do your own research. I had a lot of people contact me about SB 20 when I was really trying to fight against that, and they were saying, well, you're not looking at the obscenity law, you're not looking at this, it's not the way that you're thinking it's read. I always tell people, look into the stuff yourself, read it, figure out if it's something works for you or not, and go to your representatives yourself. I'm guessing a lot of people that were against that particular video don't understand how the United States works. This is a country of the people for the people. And the people are allowed to look at our laws, scrutinize it, tell if it's something they want or not, and then contact our representatives. If we misinterpret the law, it's our own damn fault. I am completely against the idea that because you're not a lawyer, you're not allowed to look at the law and decide if it's something you want or not. Yes, I read the obscenity laws in SB 20, and I didn't like how broad it was, even after reading it. I am not a lawyer, but I'm allowed to look at this stuff as a U.S. citizen. So please don't come at me with that stuff again. With that said, currently, a lot of people are pointing at the Fair Access Banking Act. Not just the Fair Access Banking Act, there's another one called the FIRM Act, but they're basically two different acts that are currently being put through. They were actually presented way back in February. What I gather from research is that both of these were put into effect essentially as an answer for a lot of these companies that were being essentially shut down by payment processors because they weren't following certain political views. I think one of them was a firearms group. Specifically with the Fair Access Banking Act, it's two different bills. You have the H.R. 987 of the 119th Congress, and then you have S401, which is the 119th Congress. To give people an explanation here, every single Congress has a number. So this is the 119th Congress, and then there will be a bill for that specific one. So you can't just search S401. You have to specifically search for the 119th Congress version of it. That was similar with the SB 20 bill. I just forgot to mention that before. One of the main things this act is kind of pointing out is that, yes, a lot of groups are going to financial institutions and telling financial institutions to essentially cut off businesses and whatnot. And they're obviously seeing that this is going to become a bad thing. We need to stop this because it's been used in politics here recently. A lot of cases where companies are being shut down because everybody's sort of pressuring the payment processors to kind of bend to their side. When we go down to the actual purposes of this act, it says to ensure fair access to financial services and fair treatment of customers by financial service providers, including national and state banks, federal savings associations, and states and federal credit unions. Ensure financial institutions conduct themselves in a safe and sound manner. Comply with laws and regulations, treat their customers fairly, and provide fair access to financial services. Here's the key thing here. You are going to still follow the law, but you're still going to provide financial stuff. Protect against financial institutions being able to impede otherwise lawful commerce and thereby achieve certain public policy goals. Again, not impeding people if they're doing lawful things. Ensure that persons involved with politically unpopular businesses, but that are lawful under federal law, receive fair access to financial services under the law. And ensure financial institutions operate in a safe and sound manner by making judgments and decisions about whether to provide customers with financial services on an impartial, individualized, risk-based analysis using empirical data evaluated under quantifiable standards. So again, it's not going based on your political beliefs. It's not going based on all your decisions and whatnot. It's going specifically based on finances. Now, the only thing that I really do find that's sort of a hole in this whole situation is that there's still a risk-based analysis, which, yes, in the past, Visa has claimed that they want to stop certain companies in Japan because it risks their brand. Here's where we get the actual requirements. In general, to provide fair access financial services, a covered bank, including subsidiary of a covered bank, except as necessary to comply with another provision of law, shall make each financial service it offers available to all persons in the geographic market served by the covered bank on proportionally equal terms, may not deny any person a financial service the covered bank offers unless the denial is justified by quantified and documented failure of the person to meet quantitative, impartial risk-based standards established in advance by the covered bank, may not deny in coordination with or at the request of others. Key thing there, collective shout. For example, again, this is not about them, it's about the payment processors. Any person a financial service the covered bank offers and shall, when denied any person financial services the covered bank offers, provide written justification to the person, explain the basis for the denial, including any specific law or regulations the covered bank believes are being violated by the person or customer, if any. That's the key thing there. Again, it is partially because of the at the request of others. The payment processor cannot change things based on the request of others or the pushing of other people, outsiders. But additionally, they have to write the justification for denying it with the law or regulations that it's blocking. Again, you can't deny them just because you don't like them. You have to cite a law. That's where I think this might actually be our option. But again, I want to emphasize, look at this law yourself, see if it's something that you want to support, and then go to your representative. Go specifically to them. Ask them about them. Are you supporting it? Is this what we're kind of looking at here? Again, I am for the idea that you do not have to be a lawyer to look at these laws. You do not have to be a lawyer to be concerned about things. You, as a citizen of the United States, do your due diligence, look at this stuff, contact your representative, and see if this is something you want to support. Again, this is H.R. 987 of 119th Congress and S-401 of the 119th Congress. Again, I'm not saying this is what people need to back. I'm not saying this is what you're supposed to think. Like I always say, do your own research, see if this is something that you actually want to back, and look into it yourself. But anywho, that's my thoughts on this whole situation. I really do think that we're kind of at a turning point right now, especially in the West. We've been seeing it being attacked in Japan for the longest time. I think it's time to kind of start stepping up and putting a stop to this. And I really do think this is kind of outside of just the bounds of anime and, you know, gaming and whatnot. I think overall this is a big, big deal. And it's unfortunate that, yes, I think a lot of these payment processors and whatnot are really deep in the pockets of political leaders. So to see an act like this that's coming up that might possibly be able to offset that, it kind of makes me wonder if it would even go through. But I do think it's time for people in general. I think, again, not just gamers, not just anime fans, people in general need to step up and realize that the ability for somebody to really contact a payment processor and put the stop to a consumption of something that's legal is really scary. And I hate the idea that we'd have to go to political leaders to put a stop to it. But I think it's because these payment processors have so much power, we kind of have to. That's the only way it's going to stop it. That's just like I've been saying with Japan for the longest time. The only way they're going to be able to stop Visa and MasterCard from ruining their businesses that are, again, dealing in legal stuff they need to take action in the government. The government has to step in and do something. But anyways, that's my whole thoughts on this. Again, do your own research, look into stuff yourself. If it's something that you feel that based on how it's wrote, it's something that you're concerned about, contact your representatives, get clarification from them as well. They can help you out with a lot of this information, help you kind of navigate it. But either way, whether you want to support specifically this bill, or you just want to do your own thing, do something now, because I think that's the important thing out of all this. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you found it informative. If you did, hit the like button down below. Become a member of the channel if you want to support this content. But until next time, y'all take care.